Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And John.
JD.
And this week, boys and girls, our good friend D Square is joining us.
For the Mint Mobile Marathon.
Yes, we're continuing the Mint Mobile Marathon, and people might be going, where's Ray? Well, Ray couldn't make it this week. He got out of this by having a baby. You know, that bastard.
Some people will do anything.
I just think it's selfish, to be honest with you. Not show up because your child is born.
I know.
Unprofessional behavior.
Gotta admit, it's a 9,000 IQ move, though. Big brain. Definitely big brain.
So when Michelle was pregnant, I had to coach the school I was at before I was at the one, so I didn't want to be there anymore, and I had to coach a little kids tournament. And I remember we were at the mall, and I rubbed her belly. I said, "Dude, do me a favor and be born tomorrow, so I don't have to go to this tournament." Damned if 8 hours later she wasn't in labor.
Wow.
So I still, true story, still owe the kid for that.
Nice.
Well, you know, don't tell him that.
No, he doesn't know that.
So, all right. So besides Ray having a baby, how's everyone doing? How you doing, Don? What's new?
What's new? Nothing much. I mean, summer's here, at least for the past couple days here in Ohio. So I've been getting out, enjoying the weather, playing some hero clicks with my buddy today, which was kind of funny because it basically came down to he had a bunch of Squirrels and I had Mystique who couldn't be hit. I won't explain the game mechanics, but yeah, it is just, I wasn't going to win, but he had generated enough Squirrels to where they formed a penis on the map. And I'm like, did you just win by forming a penis? And he's like, yeah, I think I did. And
Nice.
Yeah. So
Real dick move there. Yeah.
That's good. Nice, John. Well done.
Yeah. Yep. So that's all. It's just exciting in my world. Other than that, I did get to do my podcast with Rich Duick and Todd Matthey. Never mind the fact that the first 15 minutes got fucked up, but nonetheless, it was still an awesome conversation and should be pretty interesting. We talked about it's kind of where today's comic book industry is and how kind of chaotic it is.
Well, get this. I was supposed to be on Don's show.
Yes, you were.
And I went out for dinner and I got celiac cross-contamination and I couldn't stop pooping.
Yeah.
I was miserable all Friday evening. It was...
So kind of put your mood in the crapper?
It was not... my whole life was in the crapper at that point.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop the crapping. So
real shit move there, man.
Real shit. Boy, you're on a roll today, man. I'm proud. So yeah, I missed Don's pod. I was like mortally embarrassed. I was like, I'll be fine. I'll get up and nope, gotta go back. So people who make fun of people with gluten allergies, you don't know what you're talking about. It hurt. The shit hurts. I'll just leave it at that.
So that's how you're doing there, JD.
Oh, I'm okay. I mean, like we got the Kickstarter running for Wolfstone. We're looking at it right now. We're 140% funded. It's good. We're trying to push to hit that $2,000 goal now so we can get the audiobook done. I got some cool ideas for the audiobook. It's two different voices tell the story, a male and a female perspective. So I want to have like a male and a female narrator do the bounce off the various chapters. So that's going to take a little bit of work. So that's why I could use the extra funding. We're moving a little slower than I anticipated, to be honest with you. A little frustrated in that regard. I'm paced. I'm like $100 behind the last one, which isn't a big deal. Like, oh no, sorry, $65 at the moment behind the last one. And I've had a lot of people go, oh, I'll get on it. So that's cool. I know and trust people. But I mean, I was hoping this one would be bigger. So I have signed up for a course to help make this better the next time, because I need to do these things quarterly as opposed to yearly. And hopefully there's some more that I can learn to improve, because I'm hitting the goals, but I'm not blowing them out of the water. And I'm disappointed because I really think this was the best campaign I've put together. But we have like 2 weeks left. So I think I'll be fine. I just got to work hard and get a little creative in the next couple days. So I work hard and I'm creative. So I'll be.
I think you need more tchotchkes. Like the silver bullet was a real winner.
That was a good one. I tried to do it again for the one last year.
They don't allow it, right?
They did not allow it. They allowed it in 2020, but not in 2021. I think you're right. I don't think kitschy enough, and I think I need to do that. So hopefully I can pick up some new ideas and tricks and be better in the next one. So yeah, but otherwise, I got nothing to complain about. It's working. I'm a B student. I'm not an A student I just need to keep working.
Congrats on hitting your goal. How's that?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm happy.
You're gonna die. I got a good one this time for you.
Could use some more tchotchkes. How are you doing, John?
I don't need any more tchotchkes. I have too many of them. I try to keep the number of tchotchkes down because all you wind up having to do is spend days trying to dust the damn things without harming them. So yeah, everything's fine. I actually worked today. I'm still death marching on
a Sunday.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I'm trying to keep up with everything.
So you don't work for Chick-fil-A as we try, that evil empire, the different one.
With the greatest waffle fries that have ever been fried.
Probably.
They do, man. I mean, I disagree with their politics, but damn, those fries are good and gluten-free.
Oh, nice.
I'm right there with you, but I'm trying to keep up with all the work that they've piled up on me. Even at the level I'm at, this economy is stupid where they just keep piling more work on everybody. The company will fire people or get rid of people or let recidivism take out people, and then they'll give bonuses to the CEOs while we're doing double work. So that goes right into white collar upper crust like me, and it just sucks. So anyway, anything else? No, I got nothing, man. I am just boring. I am absolutely freaking boring.
Okay.
Dave, how about you, sir?
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, so I'll get this out of the way right away. I know, but actually today, as we're recording, is officially 6 months since my girlfriend and I started dating. And so, though we both had things to do today, so we celebrated yesterday. But all right, it's a shame that Ray isn't here because he told us about his squirrel issues or raccoon. Was it a raccoon or a squirrel? I don't remember.
It was a raccoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
we're talking about all sorts of animals that show.
Was it an opossum?
No, it was a raccoon. But I have a squirrel story. So today, as I was watching some television, I'm in my room, and for those who don't have central air and have to deal with window units, sometimes you've got to the little plastic things that go on the side break, so you just put like a piece of cardboard and you tape it on the wall. Yeah, but when you have a tree outside your window and squirrels keep landing on the window and they keep pushing on the cardboard, and next thing you know, you got a squirrel in your bedroom.
Oh boy!
Oh no!
Did you guys invite him in? Did you make it a party?
Those things will wreck I mean, you think raccoons are bad?
They're selfish, is what you're saying. They'll wreck a relationship.
Nice.
Swinger squirrels can't handle it.
Oh, man.
Swinger squirrels.
Oh my episode title.
You know what? You need to hire Mark Robber because he could do the squirrel. What?
No,
yeah.
Do the squirrel.
No. God, no. Haven't you seen Mark Robert did a squirrel obstacle course? It's amazing.
So my
you can get rid of him.
So the first thing is my son came in the room. He's standing by the door. He's afraid to come in. The squirrel's running around the room. And the first thing he does is the cat was in the hallway. He picks up the cat and he goes, "This would be messy." And he goes downstairs with the cat, So then what I did is I totally ripped the piece of cardboard off. So there's a wide opening for the squirrel to jump out through. And I just I walked out of the room for a second to make sure the squirrel wasn't scared of me, would find the window and run out. I come back in and I don't see the squirrel. I don't hear it. I'm like, okay, it must have left. So I'm now watching the movie we're going to be talking about. I am eating dinner, and I start hearing a scratching sound coming from behind the radiator in my room. And next thing I know, it's standing on the radiator. Ah! So I opened up the window again, and then this time it went out. So actually, shout outs to my girlfriend because I was talking to her, and all of a sudden her dog started barking on the phone, and you could hear it through the phone. I think that's what scared it to run out the window. So,
wow, all right,
yes, but it was a fun afternoon, and it actually made the movie exciting.
It's enough to make you squirrely.
Oh, you ever see The Great Outdoors?
Yes, a long time ago. John Candy at his finest.
Yes, yeah.
Or
right, the bat.
Or Christmas Vacation. Was it like that?
Oh my God.
Oh no, Christmas.
That's what I was afraid of. Was Christmas Vacation. But the thing I was watching when it first came in was Moon Knight. Did anyone get caught up on Moon Knight this week?
I'm sorry, somebody tasked me with watching a really bad freaking movie, and I obliged them.
Yeah, but it comes out on Wednesdays. Come on, guys. So,
yeah, no, it's
the only
definitely
one caught up.
Death
I
March?
guess so. I guess so. That's real unfortunate because I really think it's an interesting series. So I really am questioning why it's like, why are we having this lull now?
I have a theory.
Okay.
We have reached saturation.
I talked about that. Yep. Okay. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to inject that idea, but okay. Saturation point.
I know a couple people that are waiting for all the episodes to come out and watch them all at once, especially because it's only 6 episodes.
Me, this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if these things are special anymore. We do them all the time.
Yeah, right? I don't think they're special anymore. This is also to be nice, C-level hero, as much as there was a swell on the Twitterverse for this character. But, of course, we learned through Elon Musk that Twitter is mostly bots. So you really can't trust it anymore. But nonetheless, C-level character, and it does not seem to affect the greater MCU to me, watching it. That would be the one thing that I could say is the difference between this and WandaVision, this and Loki, this and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is this does not seem to have any effect. It could be wrong by the end of the series, but right now it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the greater MCU. So I don't know if people just don't feel like they don't have stakes in it. I think it's very interesting though, and I think Oscar Isaac's doing a great job between the personalities.
It'll have something to do if they bring in Gore the God Butcher, and there are a bunch of gods sitting around here. But yeah, no, I kind of agree though. Like I reached saturation with the CW shows, but that was also a combination of, now I was watching like 8 hours a week just to keep up with the storylines for when they crossed over, but it was also bad writing. The writing is still good. And I don't feel that saturated, but you're right. Like it being a C-level hero, you're kind of like, they really got to make us care about them to keep up the train rolling.
I think you're right. Because I'm thinking about it as well with not as many people were into Hawkeye, right? Because at this point, Hawkeye was basically retired from the Avengers, right? And like didn't want to adventure anymore. What brought him back in was losing his family, but he got his family back. So people were kind of like, does this affect the overall MCU? And it doesn't really feel, other than the surprise cameo of Wilson Fisk at the end, it doesn't really feel like it affects the MCU as a whole either. The Eternals is the same thing. Like they talked about Thanos, but like what in Eternals affects the rest of the MCU and vice versa? Like a hand was coming out of the North Pole and nothing has talked about that yet else that's come out. Like that's a big plot hole. Like no one's talking about
a hand that's like 3 times as tall as Mount Everest because somebody did the physics and the measurements and all that.
Right. And no one else in the MCU is talking about this at this point. And it's like, okay. Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point where if it doesn't feel like it's directly going to impact the main storyline we're all invested in, a lot of people don't want to give it the time of day.
I don't know if they're overreaching, they're stretching themselves too thin, or if, like the only thing that would make all of this worthwhile is like another Avengers movie or a movie like, was it Captain America, the Winter Soldier, right? Where they bring, or Civil War, where they bring so many other characters back from all these properties they're developing now. Like they have to do something to tie all these people together, or else these are just side quests. You know,
I mean, they're definitely building to Young Avengers, but or at least that's what everyone is saying. But it's A, it feels like it's taking forever to get there, and B, like, does anyone care about Young Avengers? You know,
I'll be honest. Last week for Easter, my mother-in-law made this phenomenal cheesecake, right? Gluten-free, walnut crust. It was like I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. And I had it, and it was just sensational. And then I had another piece of it probably 3 days later, and then it was really, really good then too. And I'm like, man, I need my mother-in-law to make me another cheesecake. And then I thought about it. The more I eat this cheesecake, one, I'm going to get very fat. Two, it's not going to be, I mean, like, it takes away what's special. Like, if you have cheesecake every day, it's not that good, right? That's what I feel like we're at right now.
You're singing the single person blues there. Like, I will make a nice shepherd's pie, and yeah, I love it when I make it. And then after I've had it for 4 days, because, you know, it's hard to make only a single serving. Yeah.
Okay. But do you ever get to the point to where you've had enough bacon? I mean, I don't know about you, but I have never reached that point, and I am a big fan of brunch and breakfast buffets. So I hear what you guys are saying, but at the same time, that Thor Love and Thunder trailer, at least in my circle of friends, got immediate pop.
Right.
Way more.
Okay.
Wait. That's definitely bacon. But Moon Knight and all these other ones, that's the Morning Star bacon alternative.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha. Right.
Look at it like this though, too, is that like the movies, one, they have a bigger, you know, they have some more cred, right? These are sequels at this point. We've gone a decade plus with these characters. So like we feel something for them. These Disney shows don't feel as special. I don't have to leave my house to go get it, you know? Like, and there's something to, I've discovered this over the last year. If something premiere, I still haven't seen Godzilla versus King Kong. I would have seen that opening weekend if it was in the theater. But because it's in my house, I feel like the rush to go get it isn't there with me, you know?
The Batman is a good one too, right? Like it went to streaming so quickly that, you know, when it first came out, you can literally these days say to yourself, well, there's still a pandemic. I don't really, and I, you know, like you're really busy or it's cost too much. I can just wait a couple of weeks and then see it in my own home.
So here's what I'm wondering, right? In a couple of weeks, we've got Doctor Strange coming out, Multiverse of Madness, and Wanda is in the movie, Scarlet Witch. So the Vision, oh my God, WandaVision was only on Disney Plus, right? So not everyone has Disney Plus. More people go see the movies than have Disney Plus. This is what I'm wondering. Are they going to do some kind of recap of WandaVision in the movie so people know what's going on? Are they just going to like bring her back in and either A, ignore the story, it has nothing to do with going on in the movie, even though I highly doubt that, or like, are they just going to be like, they're going to assume you know what's going on?
Well, they already showed in some of the trailers a version of her back in her house with the two kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we know that they're going to refer to it. They'll probably refer to it just enough for you to get a feel if you hadn't seen it. But this is like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. This is Oscar Mayer thick cut bacon, right? Like this is this is the good stuff. Everybody's going to want to see this. So again, this is where their strategy comes in of, you know, you see that and you're like, well, I want to know what happened with the Scarlet Witch. Maybe I should get my subscription to Disney Plus.
That actually isn't a bad strategy now that you think about it. Like, give them enough where they're going to be like, what's going on? And, oh, if you want to know more, go watch WandaVision on Disney Plus. I could see that like in the credits.
Yeah. And then, you know, you come up with a plaque of 9 hours later and you're sitting there. The person that watched it is sitting there on the couch going, what the hell happened? What was that?
Like, I assume they're going to recap, but honestly, now that I think about it, if they ever have that White Vision or Monica Rambeau in a movie,
Vision is coming back. Paul Bettany.
Yeah. I've heard that. So you're not going to know really too much or anything about Monica Rambeau unless you've seen the WandaVision series. So I don't know. That would be, if they have to like recap the same show like 3 times in movies because they're bringing in these characters, I got a feeling they're mostly going to assume you've seen it, but I don't know how much sense that makes.
That's right. Because
Monica Rambeau is going to be in the Marvels. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, again, are they going to recap WandaVision in the Marvels so that you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where
We'll
they
have to
hook
see.
you back in.
Yeah.
Oh man, very interesting.
This is right back to the late 90s comic book collecting, or early 90s comic book collecting, right? So you have to get the foil cover, you have to get the limited edition cover, you have to get the fold out cover.
But it's like, it's funny you mentioned the 90s, but like, are we reaching that point?
Not quite yet, but
I mean, like where we're getting that overabundance of product to the point where it's devaluing the real product. Like not so much with like, because this is like X-Men 1, like the Thor Love and Thunder thing. This is like the Jim Lee X-Men #1. But I mean, I feel like Moon Knight is basically like Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sure it's really good. I'm gonna watch it eventually, but I still haven't watched like the Master Kung Fu movie. Right. I haven't watched that. I haven't watched Eternals. Like, I just don't feel like. I don't know. I'm not feeling, I keep forgetting it's there. Like there's so much other stuff that I want to do. And like when Batman came, like, oh, I got to go see Batman, you know?
Well,
I don't feel that sense of urgency.
And you don't because JD or anyone out in this world, are you a big fan of Eternals comics?
No, not at all.
Are you a big fan of Moon Knight comics? Other than
not really.
Oh, you heard he's a cool comparison to Batman, but he's got mental illness, so that's interesting. But no,
I've read some of the runs. I don't dislike it, but it's not like Moon Knight's my dude, you know?
Right. And nor is Shang-Chi. So that's my answer to that. No one actually see, and this is actually James Gunn and Taika Waititi's fault, because they convinced Disney that the masses were all into cosmic Marvel. And to be honest with you, I don't think your normie or your regular Marvel movie goer is really ready for Eternals and anything outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Skrull Kree War, you know, all that shit, you know, the Beyonder
and they shouldn't really. Guardians shouldn't have worked. Guardians worked because of James Gunn. Like it had just great. It had an auteur behind it, a guy with a vision who knew what he was doing. And I'm not saying it's wrong with Chloe Zhang and the Eternals, but that just felt really stiff. Just watching the truth.
It took the personalities, right?
Yeah. It didn't seem like it had a lot of, like, nothing in those trailers. Like those trailers were all like info dump, right? And I didn't feel character. I'd watch those things and I'd just be like, yeah, that's there. You know, and I didn't feel like they sold me on who these people are. Whereas the Guardians trailer is nothing but selling you on who these people are. Like the first trailer is literally just an introduction to the characters.
That's a perfect example of good writing versus bad writing.
I mean, like, I can't even speak to the writing because I haven't seen the movie. I'm just talking about the marketing. Like the marketing for Guardians was significantly better.
Well, that's because they had clips they could use.
That's fair. That's a good point.
That speaks volumes because you can watch it on Disney Plus. You've been able to watch it on Disney Plus for a while now.
I forget it's there. I didn't even think. I haven't thought about the Eternals movie since you guys brought it up a minute ago. I honestly haven't, and that made me think, oh yeah, I haven't seen Shang-Chi either, and I heard that was really good. You know, I just don't. And I didn't finish Hawkeye. Like I watched parts of it, and I don't know, man. It just didn't grab me as much as I liked the series. I liked the Hawkeye series, the Fraction Hawkeye. I just didn't. I mean, I feel like I'm inundated with stuff, and again, I feel like these shows don't matter as much as I thought they were going to matter, right? And I feel like I'm sucked into the continuity of everything, and like, which is funny because I'm always telling people don't be that way as a reader, but as a viewer, I'm falling right for it. It's like, that doesn't count.
That's why I'm saying if they don't tie all of these together in another big Avengers movie or something like that, then these are just side quests that go nowhere.
But that's the problem, though, is they shouldn't feel like that. Like, yeah, like we bitch about crossover after crossover after crossover in comics, but this is why it works, is because like I'm a significantly more Marvel Universe casual fan than I ever was as a comic fan. And I don't feel the connection to these other things, and I'm sure they're fine, but I mean, like, there's just no sense of urgency for me. Like, I would rather, I find myself watching stupid stuff on YouTube when I could easily be watching these movies, but it doesn't even occur to me to put it on.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I just don't feel that sense of urgency that I have to rush to get these things. You know, maybe that's, I mean, like, it's so funny because we're really starting to see we're really starting to see the contraction of streaming. Like we talked about it for years, the saturation point of streaming, and we've hit it. What's gone. Netflix is losing subscribers. That's it. That's the stone is turned. Like,
right.
It's downhill for a while. Like now people are going to figure out how to stop the.
And Paramount is
failing.
Yeah, and was it Discovery and was it Discovery and Paramount?
Discovery ate Warner. So
Right.
we don't know what's going to happen with Discovery Plus and HBO Max. I assume why have two apps when you can have one app, right? Why have from them they're gonna you want to say, well, why not have two services? Well, the logic is why not take all those subscribers and put them into one service? Because eventually people are gonna go, well, I don't want that. That's what's happening right now.
Well, although the corporate thinking behind that would be, well, we can get double the subscription.
But I don't think they're going to think that because if Netflix is losing subscribers for the first time in 20 years, something stupid like that, that's a problem.
Well, that's because all of the stuff that they had that were being lent to them by all of the studios is now going to their own.
Correct. But if Netflix is contracting and nothing else is growing, like everyone put all their eggs into streaming. We talked about it for years on the show, that everything was going towards streaming. And we said, eventually it's going to pop, and it's popped, right? Because like when it was Hulu and Netflix, it worked. And then people started getting greedy and wanted their own thing. And like we said, there's going to be a Comcast channel, a Disney channel, and a Viacom channel. And that's pretty much, and everyone's going to fall into one of those places.
Yeah.
And then we'll be right back to where cable was, we'd be Thanos, right?
We'll need regulation at some point.
We're going to be, that's coming too. But I mean, it's going to be right back to where broadcast was back when it was ABC, NBC,
big three,
and CBS. We're going right back there. That's what's going to happen, right? Because you see, Amazon has got the NFL contract. Amazon Prime has Thursday Night Football. That's it. And that now that's the game changer of streaming, because now they're doing live sports and streaming, because all the money in regular television is live sports.
It is sports, yeah.
That's where all the money is. Like TV, like sitcoms they're there, but I mean, like they're not what they used to be, right? Everything, all the stuff drawing people to terrestrial television is sports. And if the streaming channels are going to fight over this now it gets even more interesting. Because
has anyone watched regular TV recently? Like, no. Has anyone even do they even show movies on there anymore? Like WGN, they used to watch movies all the time.
They do, but the movies are so cut up and toned down for PG-13 or whatever.
That's what it's always been.
You better shut this mother flipper up.
I know, but I think it's gotten worse because they got lazy, because everybody just goes and watches them on the streaming service.
For
right?
sure. Well, not everybody has cable. Like everyone, like there's still a lot of people in this country that don't have streaming or cable. Like there's still more people with broadcast than anywhere else.
But there's more people now that only have streaming. It's really starting to.
I'm one of those. I've been one of those since 2014. I haven't had cable in 9 years. Like I was cord cutting before cord cutting was cool, because my wife told me to.
But that's the problem. You go to regular TV, it's like, okay, there are let's ballpark it, like maybe 150 channels you can watch. Everything else is either all sports or different languages or whatever. So maybe 150. Out of that, you're not going to watch Lifetime. You're not going to watch Home Shopping Network, whatever. And everything else, you have to wait for the show, or you start looking and you're already in the middle of a show, right?
That's why sports works on live, because sports is live television.
Right.
But you're a captive audience. Nothing else is a captive audience. I mean,
everything else is.
The nature of television has changed so drastically in the last decade that it's crazy. And cable's running people off. Like they said, the number of homes with cable shrunk 10% in the last year. 10%. That's crazy. Like these ratings, people talk about ratings, like every year they do it, it's a smaller chunk of the pie. So I mean, like, what's happening? Like, I don't know. Like, this is so crazy. And then YouTube's the outlaw, right? YouTube's the wild west. Anything is on YouTube.
This is why the cable companies are pushing to get rid of net neutrality, because then they can charge HBO, and Disney Plus and whatever, and Netflix for the right to stream to.
You know what this is, guys? It's madness.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking it's already 9:06 and we haven't even gotten past the hard part.
We don't have to do this movie. We don't need this movie. It's not a reviewable movie. Like, you could easily
have social media madness.
We can just vote how bad it is, and that's it. We don't even need to talk about it.
All right. Let's do some social media madness. I only got a couple this week. So, of course, last week talked about KJ Apa and Isabel May were cast as the Wonder Twins on the upcoming HBO Max series. To our good friend Timothy Jones said, "I've always wondered where the pail comes from when Zan turns into water." To which our good friend, the resident expert of the middle age, replied, and since he's here, he can read his tweet live on air.
Oh boy, right, put me right on the spot. Okay, so doesn't look like the suit has pockets, so there's only a couple more options. None of those options are pleasant to think about, but the idea holds water.
It's oh nice. I was gonna say it's Gleek's potty bucket, but nice.
Yes. So
Holds water. That I would have thought that was somebody's joke that was worthy of what's his what's his name, the really bad
Timothy
dad joke.
Jones.
Yeah.
That's
Tim.
Yeah.
I would have thought Tim.
And then of course we talked about the Flash.
Wait. Sour grapes. Finer newspapers across this great land.
Well, wait, you're going to get a chance to say it again because
never mind.
Apparently the CW will end after a short 9th season. We talked about that last week as well. To which Timothy Jones responded, it'll definitely be missed. I haven't seen all of it, but what I have seen, I've really enjoyed. I can't believe it's been almost 9 years. It's gone by so fast.
Oh, God. Sour grapes.
Sour grapes. Available in finer newspapers across the country.
If you like dad jokes, you're going to love sour grapes.
Just the cream of the crop, man.
Yes.
And Silverhawk replied with a gif of Barry Allen screaming no.
Silverhawks. You guys remember that show?
Oh my God,
do.
Yes.
I do.
That and Thundercats.
Silverhawks was with Thundercats worked. We should do this again.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
They look cool though.
No,
Wasn't
it's
it
not the
all
Thunder
kind
Tank.
of a play on Battle of the Planets too?
Probably. It was probably a play. It was
Battle of the Planets was way before those.
Way before, yeah. But it was probably a little because it was the same company that did Thundercats. Same studio.
G-Force. Yeah.
So, of course, we also talked about the co-creator of American Chavez declined Marvel's offers, calling it an insult of an offer.
They probably offered him like $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah. And which we got an interesting response from Anthony Bourne, who said, that's the simple logo of the damn Dallas Cowboys, because she uses a star.
He's right.
When she teleports, to which I replied, sports ball.
He's totally right. I didn't think about that. Oh my, Jerry Jones might have a case here.
And
that's funny.
And then Anthony Bourne replied, I actually hate the Cowboys. So yeah.
Anyone that grew up in the 90s hates the Cowboys because they won
everything.
But I've always have to respect Cowboys because the Cleveland Browns' own Bernie Kosar actually got his one and only Super Bowl ring for being on the rosters of the Cowboys when they won one. So,
man, fuck the Cowboys.
Well, okay then.
The swinging squirrels might fuck the Cowboys. All right. Well,
they probably would.
That is it for Social Media Madness. So if you want to know how you can follow us on social media, be a part of Social Media Madness, here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
I know that guy.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often, because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter @SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right, we're back. And thank you for that, Don. And while you're here, why don't you tell the people where they can find the Omega Level Nerd?
Yeah, well, of course, you can follow the show at Omega Level Nerds on Twitter, and you'll get the link to our YouTube, where we have the video version of our show, but also on the Podbean app and Apple Podcast app, you can find us there. So that's at Omega Level Nerds on Twitter. Check us out.
All right. And on that note, we will take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. just have a couple quick news articles to hit. The first one I included specifically for John.
You did?
Jason Momoa to star in live-action Minecraft movie from Warner Brothers.
How the hell are they going to do a Minecraft movie?
My first question is, who the hell wants a live-action Minecraft movie?
Minecraft is the highest selling game of all time, bar none.
That does not mean it makes a good movie. In fact,
Dave, you wouldn't believe how many, like they've got what's it called, Minecraft Storytime or something. They've got a whole bunch of different Minecraft animations out there. I don't know, like who knows? It would depend on the writer, really.
Pop culture is littered with bad video game movies.
Oh, absolutely. The fates are against this one, but
like the fields of Gettysburg. Just strewn
the problem as I see it, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
the appeal of Minecraft is that it's an open world. You can do whatever the hell you want. You have
virtual
these little
Legos.
What?
Virtual Legos.
Virtual Legos, right. It's kind of a, like, you have all these little things that attack you, but like you mine, you find stuff, you build things, you build a house, you can do all these amazing things within the game. So you're free to do whatever you want. So everyone's interpretation of what the game is different.
There is a lore to the game, though. You ask anybody about who Herobrine is, and they're
not going to do stuff like that in the movie.
I don't know.
No, they're not. They're not going to go, like, people who do these weird YouTube videos and stuff. They're not going to pay them.
That wasn't a weird. That was something that was part of the game for forever. I mean, he wasn't in it was just a myth, but it was a myth that the entire fan base knew, and created entire history, entire mythology about. It's like, it was, there's some things they could do, but what you're alluding to is it would be deep Minecraft player knowledge, not something that the general public's going to get.
They're not going that direction. It's going to be a goofy Lego Batman movie with Minecraft graphics.
With Journey 2 to the Center of the Earth type.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, because my kids had like that Minecraft Dungeons game. So yeah, they've put some story into it, but I don't see this doing anything unless it basically emulates like the Lego movies.
That's another question too. You just said with Minecraft graphics, and it's like, and I said live action, but I don't even know what they're doing. Like, the Lego movie also works because it's kind of the action stop motion Lego movie. Like, it's actual Legos, so you escape into that world. But could you really watch an hour and a half of those graphics and you're not playing
Nintendo graphics? No, absolutely not. It's horrible. It's a horrible idea.
I don't think this is going to work. This is going to be the backside of a choose your own adventure story,
Yeah.
right? Like, those just don't work, right? Like, people want either to control or they want to be, in the world and watch, right? When you try to betwixt them, it just doesn't work, man.
I don't know. As a heavy Minecraft player, again, I'm going to say it's going to depend on the writing, because you've got, I mean, there are a bunch of weird, deep mythologies in this game that could be mined for some kind of story. No pun intended. But and you talk about the graphics. The graphics on these things on the game is actually incredibly high. It's just the motif of the blocks. But if you go into anything like modded Minecraft, or add a shader to Minecraft, it looks better than some games out there that were made for graphics. It's kind of weird. It's a weird game compared to everything else, and yet it's the highest selling game of all time. It's just going to depend on what they do with it. There's more possibility here than, like, say, Mario Brothers. Definitely, I'd say.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think Mario Brothers does have a narrative, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. You guys aren't
30 years of nostalgia that goes
right.
with it. That's how these things operate. Like,
I know, but you guys aren't Minecraft players. You're not part of the like the sheer amount of YouTubers out there. They're just for Minecraft.
How'd the Dungeons and Dragons movie go, John?
Oh, well, look, again, writing, and they
I would also like to point out two
Dragon
things.
Ball Z.
Oh, that way, hey, dude, we don't speak of evolution.
Well, that's
okay,
what I'm saying. Like, just because things have a long history, like do have cultural talents and do have like people that care, doesn't mean a movie's going to work, even if you have a star.
Right. I was going to say,
right. Especially when you take something like Dragon Ball and just completely ignore the mythology and make something up because, hey, we'll get cash for it, right?
I think you can count the number of successful video game movies on one hand, and two, it's Warner Brothers. So with everything they're going through right now, is this even going to get made? But yeah.
Hey, they could pull a Lego movie out of their asses, you know?
They did pull. I mean, that's more the exception than the rule. That's like the exception that makes the rule is the Lego movie, because that shouldn't work. And it was phenomenal. But, you know, lightning in a bottle, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of Warner Brothers and their problems, we talked about Ezra Miller getting arrested in Hawaii last week.
Oh my God, man.
And he got arrested for assault again.
Who's getting beat up by this guy? Like consistently.
Right. Well, it's normally women. I think
fair.
2 out of
That's
the
a good
3 have
point.
been women.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't realize that.
But how fucking small is this dude's dick? I mean, seriously.
He's like the drunk guy in a bar who breaks a bottle over a stool and then, you know,
I think he is that
turns
guy,
around going, you know, I'll take you all. It's just.
I mean, the other interesting part of this story is that Warner Brothers has yet to come out and make any statement about it.
Because they don't have to. They just have to not work with it.
And the Flash movie is still coming out.
Well, that's done. I mean, they're not going to CGI him out of the movie, especially when Warner is looking to cut $3 billion. By the way, CNN Plus, bye-bye.
Anything they say, this is an actual strategy. Anything they say would probably make this worse. They can't defend him because it would look bad on them and drive up the number of people that get angry at them. They can't go after him because he's the star of one of their big releases that they're trying to make money off for the DC.
And they got in trouble for ostracizing a star of one of these movies.
Right. So the thing is, like, and this has worked for other types of scandals, is you just ignore it. You don't say anything. That gives nobody anything to get traction with.
You just don't put them in a movie.
Well, maybe they add a post-credit scene or after credit scene where it's like, you know, he gets changed or something. And hey, I hear like the Flash is ending on the CW. I wonder where that actor could do.
Well, they're not going to do that. Like they just don't. They want that delineation between movies and television. But they can easily. Ezra Miller is not a star, right?
No.
He's just a dude that
He's
like.
weird.
Very weird. But a lot of actors are very weird. Part of being an actor is being weird. Like they could recast him with just about anybody. Like I don't think anything was special about his performance in the Justice League movies.
Yeah.
No.
Right? Like it definitely wasn't Barry Allen. There was nothing about him that was remotely like Barry Allen.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever.
No,
that's Snyderverse that for you, you know?
Yeah. Well, who knows? Let's be real. Warner has so many more problems right now. You know, Ezra Miller is like just a pimple. Right? They're like, whatever. We're not making another Flash movie. We're done. We're moving on. Now we have to cut $2.5 more billion from this company.
We talked about that they were looking for somebody to be the grand poobah of the DC material, right? So maybe they're just deciding we're going to cut everybody loose and just start over. We're just going to wait for things to calm down. And like you said, no more DC movies for a little bit. And then,
well, we got Flashpoint coming out. I don't think anything else has been announced recently, right?
Well, I mean, and then there's Aquaman 2,
and Black Adam.
Who knows?
Those are like done. Like those are, and the Shazam. Like, those are like done. Those are movies that are going to actually just come out. But there's nothing coming out after.
We haven't even talked about really the whole Aquaman 2 and Amber Heard situation. Like,
boy, is that shit ugly.
God damn! Like,
and when it's in your bed, it's the worst.
They couldn't. They yes. Like literally, they couldn't have done this. They couldn't have picked this many bad things as if they tried. Like,
no, this is like the worst. Like this defamation lawsuit. Like the more it goes on, you're more like, God, you're both just terrible people.
Like,
that's what I heard.
How crazy is that, guys? That Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, has kept his nose clean. Basically, every Marvel star has kept their nose clean. And then here we go, DC. We've got Amber Heard shitting in Captain Jack Sparrow's bed. We've got Ezra Miller choking out fucking women at bars. Like, yeah, DC is cursed.
And the worst you've got on Marvel side is Goop. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's nuts. We've all known she's nuts for a long time.
Still a good actress.
Before they cast her, though.
She's a good actress. Well, that's been, dude, everyone knows Gwyneth Paltrow's wacko. But yeah, but again, she's such a small part of it that it's like, whatever. Some actor in, eccentricities, that's one thing. Shitting in a man's bed, that's a different story.
Cutting his hand with a glass bottle.
She's nuts. And he's not like a great dude either. Like, part of me is like, no wonder you two stayed together. You're both insane. Like,
that's the funny thing. Like, all I ever heard from people was like, oh, she's finally getting her time in court. And I'm all for, women getting the chance to finally fight back against all misogyny. But yeah, like the more you hear about it, it's like she's just like, man, they should both be sent to an island and left there.
There's this thing on, and I hate to be this guy, but there's this like thing when it comes, when allegations come out, there's this saying on Twitter, it's like, believe all women. And I don't like that because not everyone is believable. Yeah. And like, you can't say do all to all of anything. I had a friend in college that got arrested for some stuff that was not accurate, had his day in court, jury deliberated for minutes, found him not guilty. Right. So I am of the mind that not everyone tells the truth, and you can't say believe everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Any guy that's ever been through a really bad breakup with a toxic female does not understands exactly what you're talking about. Like
my ex played that card.
Yeah,
and I lost a lot of friends because they believed her because she was the woman.
I mean, like, and we sound super misogynistic right now.
I know,
but
right?
I mean, and that's not who we are. But at the same time, like, I cannot vouch that. I cannot say believe everyone, because there are bad people in this world. There are people who lie. There are people who make things up. You cannot put a blanket statement. You could say believe most, or you could say at least. I would say listen to a
hear
story.
Them out.
Hear them out. Yeah, hear someone
right.
out. Hear someone's
that's what it should be. Hear them out.
Right.
And then decide if they're telling the truth or not.
And then you could sit and go, well, this percentage, like, you could say, I agree, but when you're in that percentage that isn't it, I mean, like, what happens? Like I said, I saw a friend lose, like, his parents wound up divorced. He lost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. I think it was like $50,000 in legal fees, money he didn't have, like, to protect his name. And he was innocent. Like, and you can start saying, oh, the justice system, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man had his day in court, and it is what it is. Like, point to Duke lacrosse. I mean, these things do happen. So you can't just say believe everyone, especially like this Amber Heard thing. She's nuts. And again, Johnny Depp isn't a saint either, as we've discovered. Like, they're both rotten people, but this is why you can't put a blanket statement like this. Can't. Yeah. It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, believe in everybody for everything they say. It's not a good idea.
No, just trust but verify.
Just like fucking with Mike Tyson on an airplane. You just
oh my god.
Dude, have you ever seen a man that deserved to get punched in the face as bad as that guy? Somebody like, oh, I abhor violence. I don't. I think it was entertaining. Mike Tyson should punch more people.
Mike Tyson was in an altercation with a guy who pulled a gun on him, and he talked him down. Mike Tyson is not somebody who just goes out and, like, he's not Ezra Miller. So
well,
like,
but at the same time,
we are talking about Mike Tyson.
We are, but lately, like, he's done some stuff that shows that he's got his anger under control. But
he tried to bite a man's ear off in front of millions of people. What the fuck do you think he's gonna do?
Right. Well, no, I did. It was the guy. The guy was asking for Mike Tyson to punch.
Begging.
I mean, that was like
him for it.
Yeah, because
and I'll tell you something. That guy got off much better than Mitch Blood Green got off in like '87 when they fought outside of a nightclub. True story, by the way. Like, that's like, that guy's lucky that Mike didn't get even more mad, because you're talking about one of America's great killers, like killer athletes, not murderers.
What was who was it he fought that was? I think the match was under a minute. He punched him and, like, almost right away knocked him out.
There's a lot of those in the '80s, like when he was on his ascension.
After his streak was put to an end by Buster Douglas, it just kind of all spiraled down for him.
Mm-hmm. It did. He had big time, and then he had a comeback in the mid '90s, and like it was okay. Like, he was doing fine until Evander Holyfield was just a much better fighter. Like, if Mike Tyson's not hooked up with Don King, who doesn't feed his, like, this is not our show, this is crazy, but if Mike Tyson does not get hooked up with Don King, like, he could be the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. Right, like that man, like, him being surrounded by the wrong people,
the worst people,
cost him from being like Muhammad Ali lost his career because he was fighting the good fight, and despite what your political feelings are, like that was like he believed in something. Mike Tyson was just hanging out with the wrong dudes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a different story. And that guy, like, okay, there's young people. I mean, I don't know what our demographics are, but if you've never seen Mike Tyson fight, like from 87 to like 90, like the man is incredible. Like watching his fights, he was unreal.
People get mad because they pay $50 for a pay-per-view. And then boom.
I paid for the Peter McNeely fight. I paid for that in 1985. But it was like a cultural thing. Like you had to see it. Like even when we were in high school, like in the 90s, late 90s, when he had his comeback, like you still had to watch because he was Mike freaking Tyson, you know?
It just, I don't know what that guy was thinking. Like, and I guess that's one of the things that people talk about a lot. And I think we've talked about this on the show too, where like people say the most vile, evil things on the internet because it's like,
and it makes them comfortable, and they forget that there's repercussions for your actions.
Yes, exactly. And that's the whole thing. And it was like, there's a famous tweet. I don't remember who it was. And I keep thinking it was Tyson. It was like young people who talk shit on the internet haven't learned that, you get, haven't gotten punched.
Makes it way too comfortable with disrespecting people.
Yeah, right. That's the line. Yeah, it's a good one. And people are like, you see on Twitter, like, oh my God, the things people say to each other are horrendous. And it's because you've never had to feel the consequences of your actions. And that guy,
I mean, I kind of feel like that's what this young person was like. Oh, I can just say whatever I want and get away with it. It's like, nope,
what's he gonna do? Hit me? Well,
yeah.
And he's lucky he hit him harder. He's lucky he didn't hit him harder.
Yeah,
he was conscious. Mike Tyson could have broken his face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's still, I don't care how old he is, he's still Mike Tyson.
He is, but he does like edibles and stuff now. So, he's a bit calmer.
For sure. That's what I'm saying. If you got him on a bad day, that's calm Mike. Like in 1998, if you tried that with Mike, he would have killed you.
He said, I'll eat your children. Remember that? I eat your children.
Oh, God.
Dude, he was, I mean, like, he might have been the scariest human being ever. Like, you used to look at his eyes in those fights, and you'd be like, this man is going to die. Like, and then he would kill him. Like, I was, Mitch Blood Green is my favorite. Like, he just destroyed that man's will to live. Great stuff. Welcome back to Boxing Hero Speaks.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
all right, I've been trying to think, how can I transition to the next story?
No, we're not going to talk about Shoeless Joe Jackson? No? Okay.
But we did mention D&D earlier in the show.
We should have transitioned there.
First look at what do they call that? A title teaser?
Yep.
For D&D movie is called Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And that's all we know about this movie. Oh, other than Chris Pine is in it.
Okay. So Chris Pine, I'm not really a fan, but he might be fun in this. The fact that they're going with a storyline about thieves, well, everybody who's been in Dungeons and Dragons for any length of time knows that the thief is always the most interesting character. So
depends on who's playing him.
So this might be okay, but who knows? It's a Dungeons and Dragons movie. They're cursed. I don't know. Again,
I think it goes back to the same thing where I don't believe Minecraft is going to work, where you're taking a game where you're free to do whatever you want. The story, like,
but this has like I said, Minecraft has kind of a mythology you could build upon, but video games, like in general, don't have like any real depth to those storylines. It is, a hedgehog with super speed does this, big deal. Now they finally made that kind of work, but for Dungeons and Dragons, they have so much, like tens of thousands of novels, like they have rule books that describe entire worlds and continents cities and all the primary people in those cities and worlds. Like there's so much mythology that they could do.
But they're not pulling from any of that mythology. And like, again, I'll talk about Dungeons and Dragons from my perspective. Like 9 times out of 10, when I play Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a paladin, and I'm usually the same character, recreated over and over again. And like, so my idea of a Dungeons and Dragons movie would be starring that character, but that's never going to happen. That's
Dave,
my endpoint for Dungeons and Dragons.
I think you've got a great point there, Dave. It's because this show, or this movie, excuse me, means something different to everybody. And how do you make that connect when there is no lead character, when there is no, like, you've got mythology, but you don't have like character, and movies don't work unless you have character. So you're going to need, you're right. You've got
the original
you got a base.
Dungeons and Dragons animation.
I was just going to bring that up. You took the words right out of my mouth, because that worked. The original Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, it worked. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life, but I know what it is because I watched that Saturday morning cartoon. But what they did is they played with archetypes, right? They had, I think it was 5 kids, and they pulled them into this crazy place. So you have like sympathetic characters, you have a hero's journey thing, and you have like a touchstone where our audience, like, again, children of the 80s, were able to come into this world with people we recognized and could identify with. So that's where it works. Like, I don't know if this works just by picking up from a character. I think that if you're right, I think that if they chose a path that was like the animated series, I think it could work. Not necessarily adapting it, but by bringing someone in, I think it gives people a window in. If you just smack us right down in the middle of it, like Dave said, like, what do you do? Who do you go with? Like, you have all this mythology, but what do you do with it?
Well, that's the thing. If they did a Dungeons and Dragons movie and like they could do a trilogy starring Drizzt Do'Urden, who is like one of the most famous characters in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, everybody who's ever played wants to play that character. It's a Drow Ranger. Like, but the books about him are so famous that
not me.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. No, but at least you know who he is, right?
Right, like John is basically kind of stealing my thunder a little bit.
Sorry.
Well, no.
Take
I mean,
the thunder back.
You're going where my mind is the R.A. Salvatore Icewind Dale trilogy.
Yep.
Drizzt Do'Urden, that is the most famous Dungeons and Dragons character,
except for Dragonlance.
I understand.
And Raistlin and Karaman, right?
And maybe Catterley. But when you look at what D&D characters were in multiple video games, the answer, Drizzt Do'Urden. Our society right now is pushing against misogyny. So what perfect time to introduce the society of Menzoberranzan, where the female dark elves are actually the heads of the society and treat males like slave. What a great time. Drizzt himself dealing with racial problems. Like, they can't go fucking wrong if they do this, in my opinion. But it is D&D, so they could have a random group of adventurers and make it good. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying, though, you have some really low-hanging fruit that a lot of people would latch on to immediately. And since they've already got D&D the movie called Lord of the Rings, as well as Game of Thrones and other shit, I just don't see the random party coming together archetype. If they want to get people on this immediately, me, John included, I do not see how they're not going the Drizzt realm. I mean, there's Gwenwyver. You can introduce the cool Gwenwyver cat. Like, he's awesome. He's like my favorite character, and he's just like a magical statue that turns into a Black Panther. The love interest between Drizzt and Catti-brie, Jarlaxle, Artemis and Triri.
Oh my God!
Like,
yeah. Like, there you go, the rogues, right? Always the rogues. But again, like, Dragonlance has the same depth of mythology, and there are a lot of people that still remember those novels. And man, those novels made you cry. Like, and the how they had to deal with Raistlin always striving for power, and his brother Karaman having to deal with that, and all the rest of it. Like, you know, and that one has a built-in, comic relief, the Kender. Right, the guy who's always stealing everything, because their race is like their race. The tenet of their race is, if you've had something for more than 3 days, it's a family heirloom, because they're all kleptomaniacs. The whole race, they're perfect for thieves. Like, it's just the whole. There's so many other stories like that, you know.
I mean, I hear what you guys are saying, but at the same time, it's like, how many people have actually read those books? Compared
a lot
to how many
people, more than you think.
Yeah, but compared to how many people read The Lord of the Rings, or how many people read the Harry Potter books.
But the thing is, if they make good movies out of them, the story is so deep that it would catch even people who hadn't read the books before. And you don't really have to know anything about D&D to appreciate it.
Hollywood thinks. That's not how Hollywood thinks.
Well, like I said, you gotta get a good writer, a good director, and who knows. Anyway.
But I knew this wasn't going to be. I knew this wasn't going to be about Drew Stewart because R.A. Salvatore has not said dick about it on Twitter. He's not even mentioned the D&D movie. So this
surprised they haven't approached him.
Yeah,
I met him and his new wife a couple of years back, and they're nice. They're really nice people.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So you guys are so much more nerdy than I am. Like I don't consider myself like cool by any stretch of the imagination, but I have no idea what happened in the last 10 minutes of this show. Like there was one time we interviewed this woman from TNA Wrestling, Madison Rain, on this show, and I took it over and was like doing all wrestling stuff. And I know how Dave felt. So
JD, you need to roll for embarrassment now.
Oh, by the way,
you failed your save. Sorry, man.
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Speaking of Madison Rain, of course, since she's been on the show, I follow her on social media, and she just got married over the weekend. So congratulations.
Nice.
Well, congratulations. Now let's talk about why 3rd edition is superior than Advanced Dungeons & Dragon because it gets rid of THACO.
No, let's talk about.
True, but nobody likes 4th edition.
We've gone too far. We've gone too far. We've got to let Dave.
Yeah. So, guys, you know what? We all love the Sony Spider-Man movies.
Why are they pushing this to 2023?
My guess is because it's not finished.
So next year is going to be the year of Sony Spider-Man. So we're getting Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, which will be released on March 29th, 2024.
And then Part 3? Or no, they got rid of Part 2, right?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Across the Spider-Verse is October 7th, 2022, and they've already said that Part 2 will be 2024.
Right, but they're not calling the first one Part 1 anymore. So
now it's going to be
March 29th, March 29th, 2024. So it's going to be in the next 2 years.
Yes. But next year we're getting Madam Web.
Are you guys excited about that? I know we got 2 Spider-Man fans here. So you excited about Madam Web?
How does Madam Web work without Spider-Man?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I have a thought.
Fuck you, Sony. I hate you, Sony.
No shit.
Well, I think Across the Spider-Verse will be about Madam Web, right? Because that's what they did in the Spider-Man show. Okay, here I go. Now I feel comfortable again. Remember when the 94 Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse from Dan Slott? That involved the use of Madam Web. So you could make it work to set up this thing. I don't know, man. Madam Web, unless it's Sony just thinks anything from the Spider-Man universe can be a movie. They did such a great job with the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse thing that I'm willing to give them a shot on the animated front more so than I am on the film front.
It depends on the people that are in charge, right?
Yeah, I agree.
If it's the same people, then we're safe.
Which I assume it is, because you're gonna want a uniform look to everything. Right?
As long as Sony didn't decide, you know what we could do? We could do a shared universe like about this, right? And then they interfere with I could see.
I think Spider-Verse worked for 2 reasons. One, it was animated, so I feel like they could get away with a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
With it being animated.
True.
And 2, I don't think Sony cared about it as much. It kind of feels like they were free to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of worried, like John just said, that now they're going to step in and ruin everything. And then the other movie that was January 13th is going to be the Kraven the Hunter movie.
Kraven the Hunter movie without Spider-Man?
Uh-huh.
Suck, Sony.
Sony is just evil.
Sony, you're drunk. Go home.
No, they're stupid. They're too stupid to be evil. It's just...
I'm wondering, is he going to hunt Venom? That could work.
Yeah, it could.
He can hunt Aunt fucking May at this point. If it's not got to do with Spider-Man or Marvel, it's gonna suck Sony.
It is gonna suck on Sony.
I'm trying to give it a little something.
I know, but I'm so bitter. Like Morbius.
Because the after credits scene is going to be him meeting up with Morbius and Vulture to keep going with the Sinister Six.
I am still pissed off about them bringing Vulture into it doesn't fit any reasoning that they had.
Right. And then they leave the little piece of Venom in the MCU. So we go Venom coming to the...
See, that makes kind of sense, though, because the Clintars are multi-universal beings. It's a multi-universal hive
I'll give them that. They can thank Donny Cates for that. That shoehorn is a little less painful because of what we've learned about the symbiotes recently in comics. But fuck you, Sony.
But bringing Vulture in makes no
Vulture to this universe, Venom to this universe.
Because we still own Vulture, right? We still own it. So
vampire movie with no blood.
We're gonna take. I feel like they're. You know what? It's perfect. What I feel like is Sony was it Dark Helmet from Spaceballs, and he's sitting there playing with the toys, right? And it's like I'm taking my action figures, and
your helmet is so big.
I told you to knock before you come in here.
It's like,
did you see anything?
I think it reminds me more of
Sony.
The other scene in the movie when it's like, oh, that's Lieutenant Asshole. Oh, here's his brother, Captain Asshole. Who else here's an asshole? I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Remember that guy though from I can't remember. He makes the sounds with his
Michael Winslow.
Michael Winslow. I love his part in that movie where
I lost the beeps, the creeps, and the sweeps.
Yeah.
Huh?
I can't do Mike. I can't do like only Michael Winslow.
You don't set up the joke.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he is.
You have to ask this about anybody from the 80s, right? You have to preface everything. Is this guy still alive?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, he had one trick, one claim to fame, and like how many
Police Academy.
Use it?
Yeah, that's what he did though, and he parlayed that into 7 Police Academy movies.
Yeah. He's 63 years old. He's still around. The man of 1,000 sound effects, 10,000 sound effects.
He was great. I don't know what he's done since, but the Police Academy movies are fantastic. They've aged better than a lot of stuff from a lot of comedies from the 80s.
He according to latest stuff, he's quit acting because he's being with his kids.
Good for him.
Oh, he's doing the Rick Moranis.
He's a widower.
I respect it.
He's a widower.
He's doing the Rick Moranis, same shit.
Apparently, last year he was on an episode of America's Got Talent.
He's got talent. Probably. I mean, that's what you could. Hey, we'll give you X amount of lot of dollars to come do this show for a day, and you go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, yeah. I lost it. I had an analogy. I had an analogy. It's gone.
That's because we're getting closer to what.
I don't want to do this.
Well,
it's 9:45.
I do. I've got enough on my mind
Show of hands.
about
How
it.
bad was? No, that's it. We're done.
Oh, I've got to talk to Don about this movie. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our second commercial break, and we'll be right back with X-Men Origins Wolverine. The Mint Mobile Marathon continues. We'll be right back.
Fuck you guys, man.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. And,
Mommy, why is the world going dark? Why are there bad things?
How did they screw up Wolverine so bad?
So,
Fox.
hold on.
God damn.
2009.
Fox.
We
It's
got
like
our first solo Wolverine movie.
Can you believe they brought back the USFL? How crazy is that? The USFL, like that thing only lasted 3 years in the 1980s, and they're like, "Oh, we're bringing back the USFL." I can't believe it.
Everybody's pissed at Sony for doing such bad things with the comic book characters, and Fox is like, hold my beer.
Exactly.
Fucking this stuff up way before Sony even had the chance.
Yeah.
All right. So,
wow, what an intro! Guess what we're doing today?
They gave us a solo Wolverine movie, which was going to explain his origin, how he got his powers. Well, not his powers, but how he got his adamantium skeleton, and they also brought in Deadpool. And boy,
that wasn't Deadpool. You know what? That scene came up, and I was just sitting there, and all I could think of is, okay, this is where Ryan Reynolds walks in and shoots him in the head, right? Like, I was just waiting for that to happen.
Like, I would give Disney respect if they actually spliced that in.
I know, right?
So,
that would be awesome.
So, I think I already know the general consensus here.
Kevin Hood sucks.
But of course, I just rewatched the movie. What's people who so that was I realized it was like only my third time ever really watching the movie. I watched it I did go to the theater for it. I watched it like once with my wife. We rented it, on cable or something one time to watch it because we had nothing else to watch. And then now this was my third time. And yeah, it did not improve with age. So Don, what did you think? Did you have fond memories of this movie?
Our resident expert.
No, this movie is such a piece of shit that Amber Heard is going to put it on Johnny Depp's side of the bed.
That is a great line that I'm going to steal. That is great. Bravo, sir.
What makes me even more angry about this movie is that I have the same sentiments that I had with Blade 3. The setup for this movie was actually really fucking cool. They did a really good job of showing Wolverine James Howlett's origin. It actually stuck fairly close to the original Wolverine origin, except for in the movie he runs off with Sabretooth. In the comics, he runs off with the Jean Grey lookalike. And he meets up with Dog later that turns out to be his brother Sabretooth. Then them establishing the relationship between Sabretooth and Wolverine, going through the wars, seeing how each one of them are reacting to the situation. Obviously, you see that Sabretooth is more violent than James Howlett at this point. So that was all really, really cool. It starts to go, I mean, I think Liev Schreiber, I'm still very mad that we never got another Sabretooth.
He is not the problem with this movie.
No,
sure.
He is not. And let me also say that, you know, Ryan Reynolds, I know this is the Mint Mobile Marathon and we're kind of making fun of you, but so far I will say that you're not the problem with these movies so far.
Nope.
But this movie does start to go to shit when, okay, they form the task force and they all go up. We all see them together. We see Blob or Frank Dukes, what he's called at that point. We see Deadpool. Oh, Ryan Reynolds in a red shirt with 2 swords. That's Deadpool. Great. Wonderful. Okay. But it kind of works. It kind of works because they go up in the elevator. He's talking shit. It's all wonderful. You almost forget that, like, hey, shouldn't Deadpool be fucking horribly scarred? Never mind, whatever.
Right. He didn't have his powers before he got
right. So it's already looking, but okay, Ryan Reynolds is doing a good job with his chops. So and first of all, Mary Duck Brandybeck or the guy that plays him, how fucking dumb is that character? His special powers is controlling electronics. That's dumb. And Will.I.am being a Vanisher guy. But anyway, they go up and they unleash Deadpool. And what does he do? He's like the ultimate soldier. He deflects every bullet with his swords.
Which he made fun of later.
So he's a Jedi.
Right. So he's a fucking Jedi in this movie. Like, no, that's Deadpool. Yes, Deadpool, they should send Deadpool in first. He should kill everybody, but not after taking about 40 bullets himself. Or how about he uses guns? He is the merc with the mouth. He does use guns. So anyway, that's where the movie really starts to go bad because they go after this adamantium shit. And it's just convolution over convolution. He's got this love story. And then they have this convoluted, like, oh, Sabretooth kills her. But it's just, after the first half hour, it is just a mess with its writing. I mean, all over the place. It's doing stuff for no reason. This movie could have been great if they just focused on what they did in the first half hour, which is focus on the relationship between Sabretooth and Wolverine. Sure, throw some Stryker in there. But God, and the whole like, oh, these bullets, they'll erase his memory. How the fuck did you deduce that if you take an adamantium skull and introduce it to an adamantium bullet, that it would erase his memories? I mean, it's just fucking horrible.
Depending on where you hit the brain, you're going to erase his ability to actually walk, or for the thing to keep his autonomic functions, to keep his heart beating. I mean, like, there's so many different things that you could do. Like, it's just everything in the, like, what you're going to do, what you're talking about, Don. Every line, every scene in this movie is a contrivance. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens in any with any continuity at all. It's like the old man and the woman in the barn. Oh, it's like, God, we found a naked woman within 5 minutes. Oh, here's our cherished son's jacket and this vintage motorcycle. It's like, you don't know who this guy is. He was naked in your barn. What the hell?
Found him naked butt naked in your barn, and here you go. Here's my dead son's everything.
Yes, okay. You're such a nice boy. We're gonna go feed you. Oh, they're dead.
And we didn't even talk about, Dave, what they did to Deadpool. We're not even there yet.
Yeah.
No.
Everything in this is a contrivance. Like, and what the funniest thing for me was like, he's sitting there in they've got Wolverine in the box with the water in it. And they're like, okay, so we're going to do this procedure on you. And it's like, I don't want these tags anymore. Well, what do you want on? Well, just Wolverine. So what happened? He's sitting there ready for the procedure. Did they wait for Etsy to deliver the new tags with the Wolverine app before they just continued on? It's like, what was he in there for 24 hours while they waited for the delivery? It's like,
way too much importance and placed on the dog tags, and that's all because of the first X-Men movie.
Yeah, it's just, oh my God, everything in this was contrived, and there was no thought given at all to, could that happen? It's like,
so two things I noticed right now: JD's being quiet, and he looks like he's getting angry the more we talk.
First of all, the comic sucks. Like the Wolverine origin comic, it's not that great. Like Joe Quesada's like, we got to do it because the movies are going to do it first, which is a terrible reason to ever do a comic.
Yeah.
And I've never been a fan of the James Howlett story. Right? It takes a big part of what makes Logan cool is the mystery.
Oh, by the way, anyone else notice his name wasn't James Howlett in the movie?
What is it?
It's James Logan. Logan's his last name. Oh, it was his last name the whole time in the movie.
It makes more. I mean, that makes more sense than James Howlett, quite frankly. But I mean, like, I've never liked it. The one thing I like this movie is I do like the title sequence with Wolverine and Sabretooth going through the years. I thought that's actually well done and kind of cool. The movie peaks at the title sequence, which is never a good sign. Gavin Hood sucks as a director, man. Like, this thing is such a mess. Like, I don't understand what they were doing. I don't understand why they were doing it.
They didn't.
It's such a mess. And this is 2 years after X-Men: The Last Stand, which is also a piece of shit. I debate which is worse. I think it's open for interpretation. It's not even fun to talk about this movie. Like, it's such a misfire. It's terrible.
It's an easy dunk.
And it's sad because it's well cast. It's well cast, it's professionally acted. It's just the writing and the direction, and it's bad. They went with what Marvel does now, is they give guys a shot who really don't have a lot, but this proved not to do it. And the Wolverine is better, but not great at the same time. I don't think they figured out Wolverine until Logan, which was, in my opinion, better than Old Man Logan. I think the Logan movie is way better than Old Man Logan. But damn, this movie stinks.
So Don, you brought up the word continuity.
Yeah.
Which made me realize something as I was watching the movie. And I kind of wish I had watched this also before I was a guest on Gutting the Sacred Cow, where we talked about the movie Days of Future Past. So, and it made me realize, like, they did not give a crap about continuity and having a coherent storyline at all, because Days of Future Past basically completely eliminates this movie for the fact that in this movie, obviously it's in Vietnam where the title sequence ends and they get executed, but they don't die. So then they're in prison and Stryker comes to visit them and then recruits them for the strike team. That's the same time period that Days of Future Past is going on. So it makes no sense whatsoever if you try to think about it.
Yeah, because in Days of Future Past, even before Logan goes back, his original 1960s is, with some like mob chick or whatever, or a mob boss's daughter. So yeah, he's not in Vietnam fighting, or he doesn't know Sabretooth.
Well, the 3 Mile Island accident was March 28th, 1979. And I'm assuming that's what this was supposed to be the cover up. So this technically happened in 1979, which they showed a lot of technology that didn't exist back then and all that, but not that that's like, that's a comic book trope. But like, why would they, like, everybody made such stupid decisions. Why would you climb up to the top of one of the nuclear reactor towers?
To fight. Yeah.
Like, you're going to fall.
They had a good idea for a fight scene.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is a contrivance.
But yeah, exactly. It would have made sense if they were fighting and something forced them to the top of the tower. This was just, he ran up there and then they wanted to show him teleport up.
Yeah. He wanted to show Wolverine uses claws to climb. And I don't know how those physics work, because how does adamantium cut through everything, but doesn't cut through concrete or gravel when he did that turnaround thing with the motorcycle.
Claws cut steel like they're nothing.
Yeah, like they're nothing.
And it doesn't break them.
His bag lady nails.
Well,
Good, awesome line by Deadpool.
Even when he's getting out of the, when they just gave him the adamantium upgrade, right? And he goes to get out of the place and the big doors, he does the X with his claws with the doors, and then he pushes the bottom out. It's like, wait a minute, he did an X with the claws. That means the bottom is a triangle, but the bottom of the triangle is still attached. But just little things like that. And the claws look like he got them from Roger Rabbit.
Please.
Yeah, I know, right? The claws looked like they were made of the same metal as the gun from Roger Rabbit, with the bullets and
the bathroom scene. That is like the worst CGI for the claws. Like, yeah, they look really fake in that scene.
And they spark for no reason when you touch them. I miss that on my adamantium properties.
And they're so big. There's no way they fit into his forearm.
Yeah.
But again, that goes with Deadpool. Like, yeah, you got the big sword that comes out. Okay, how is he bending his arm when the sword is in? Like, there's nothing here that makes any sense.
Well, we could forgive all that, right? Let's face it. That's like nitpicky, right?
Yeah.
The sword arm thing, not so much. Like, every time he's bent his arm, does the sword cut out?
Okay, if we're gonna do that, then how does Wolverine walk if he has adamantium?
He really showed. Yeah, they showed how heavy he was, which is cool. But he had like no delay when coming out of the water. Like, yeah, there should be some adjustment.
Right. I mean, like, that stuff is it's fiction, man. We have a lot of these things are a problem in fiction when the story doesn't work, when the characters don't work. Right. Then we start worrying about physics because we're watching superhero movies, man. Physics don't matter. Right.
Yeah, but there's physics, and then there's just like this. A lot of this is cartoon logic.
Superman turned back the planet to save Lois.
I know. Right. I'm not saying I'm not defending that.
But it works because we love Superman, we love the character, and the movie is good. You can accept a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in terms of like physics and science,
right? But most people don't understand quantum physics and why you can't turn back the time by spinning the world in the opposite direction.
It's not people don't understand. It's they don't care, right? People care about characters, right? People care about stories.
But there's still a certain level, like a sword in the arm that doesn't bend, and he bends his arm. Like, how does it
doesn't matter. Look at any Rob Liefeld drawing, and people get on him.
But
people get on him because they don't like him. If he was like a wonderful human being who did all this great stuff for comics, you'd be like, oh man, he can't draw feet, but he's awesome. He's a piece of shit, so nobody likes him, right? He's a fucking dick. So that's why people magnify that stuff. Like, these things, they don't matter. What matters is you gave us a Wolverine movie that sucks. That's what matters. That makes no sense. That has absolutely no bearing on anything. That doesn't work. Yes, thank God X-Men Days of Future Past wiped this thing and X-Men 3 out of continuity. Thank you. It's phenomenal. It's the best thing about it.
But then the problem becomes then Wolverine's origin never really happens, or at least he never gets the adamantium, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, because they covered that in X2. They told us Stryker did it in X2. We got all that. Just forget about this movie. You just slide it under the I mean, like, that's the beauty about this stuff. When it doesn't work, you just forget about it. Comics does it all the time.
This is true.
Right? And these are movies. They're not like the Bible, which there's lots of retcons in the Bible. Like,
the Bible's a mess too, but
right. It's all a mess. Like,
but it also goes back to the other sin of these movies is like changing characters around to fit in these movies, like big time. Like, even was it Silver Fox, like giving her powers she doesn't have in the comics?
Yeah.
Like, you could have created a character, you could have used a dozen other characters that have manipulation abilities, but no, you just like the name, so you used it. It's like,
to be fair, the Blade did not have a sword until the movie. When it works, it's not a problem. Right? Like Superman. Like so much of Superman's like established continuity does not come from comics. It comes from radio, it comes from TV, it comes from the serials, right? When things work, we bring them into the salad bowl.
Look at how many things Bruce Timm gave to it, right?
In the Batman. It doesn't. If that had worked, that would have been a thing for Silver Fox, right? That would have been like, oh well, yeah, that happened after this. Then they adapted it in, and it's just fine. When it doesn't work, it becomes like.
But Silver Fox has a healing factor in the comics, so it's like
they didn't want it. I mean, like,
but they could have used it for the story that was they told in this damn movie.
We're searching for logic in an illogical situation, right?
But they didn't have to they didn't have to contrive the.
It was contrived. It was contrived. That's the problem. They wanted to make something contrived. They did that little respect for the audience. That's what they gave us.
No, they have these people had no respect for the audience or reality or anything. It's just
we're fucking nerds. You guys are piece of shit nerds.
Yeah.
Give us our $9 in 2009 for this movie and shut the fuck up. And we said no. And then they gave us 2 sequels and we kept going back. So, maybe they're right.
I sure did. Yeah, fuck them.
It's bad, man. It's really bad.
It truly is.
Turning the Blob's mutation into a weight problem.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous as well.
I mean, Jeff Loeb made the Blob a cannibal, so I've seen worse.
Yeah, you're right.
True.
Eating the wasp. Yeah. And nowadays he runs the Green Lagoon Tavern on Krakoa. But again, more contrivance, right? He calls him Bub, right? And he's like, dude, you just called me Blob. Like, really?
Oh, yeah, that's that is a contrivance. Yeah, that is the definition of
motherfuckers. Yeah. But then another contrivance, Will.I.Am, right? He's really got what I would consider one of the ultimate superpowers, which is he turns invisible. And he even uses a gun at some point. Yet when it goes to fighting Sabretooth, he's relying on his old boxing chops here. Like, are you fucking stupid? You can turn invisible and go get your M60 and light that motherfucker up. Now, we understand that he's going to heal, but in this movie, it established you can actually kind of kill him for a little bit.
You can overload it. Yeah, overload his feeling factor.
So, but instead, contrivance.
That would have been a good scene, actually. That would have made sense in the context of the movie, and would have, if you would have had Sabretooth come back from it, you could have shown the power that he actually has, because that would make sense. That would adhere to all the logic. And it would also, you could build like a sense of like, overconfidence in the character. Like you could actually make that work. Instead, they chose nothing.
Yeah, because he's going to go hand to hand with the worst person to go hand to hand with. Like, it just like, and he teleports. It wasn't just invisible. He was teleporting.
You're exactly.
And
right.
just like,
complete tactical advantage.
So you just teleport away, grab a surface to air missile or like a tank buster and come back and take him out. That's what you do.
So here's my question on Sabretooth, right? Like we got Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie was it Taylor Mayne played him in the first one?
Shit version.
Big Sky of WCW fame. Former Master Blast.
Right. He's a wrestler turned actor. And look, if you want to go the argument to get a better caliber actor to play Sabretooth, to play off of Wolverine for the movie, whatever. My issue is like, and maybe some people are going to argue this, they did a lot to make him look like the comic Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie. And yet there's no hint of that in this movie at all.
Right.
Did they ever call him Saber? Did they ever call Liev Schreiber's character Sabretooth? He's Creed. He's not Sabretooth.
Creed, right. Which is cool. I'm okay with. And even though he didn't look like the comic Sabretooth, I believed more that he was the comic Sabretooth.
Agreed. And that's one of those contrivances that could have worked if it's a better movie. Because there's no, like, the Tyler Mane version of Sabretooth and Logan have zero, like, there's clear they have zero, like, interaction. They have no history. They have nothing between them. So you had that. We had that freedom to give us the real Sabretooth. And even there, like, that's comic book weird, too, as how it's evolved and changed over the years. But that could have been fine. Like, the whole thing with Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber is the strength of this. Like, that's the only thing about this movie that works, is the two of them. If they'd have cut everything else out, had a movie about just the two of them, they might have had something. But the problem with these guys is they fall in love with these comic properties and want to jam so much stuff in it because they have zero respect for us and think we're nerds and think all we care about is that we have more toys, right?
Yeah.
That's, and like, again, Marvel has changed that. This is 1 year and this is 1 IM, right? 1 AIM, 1 year after Iron Man. So this is like we're changing the culture at this point. Like, this is still the overwhelming way they think of us, is we're nerds who want to buy toys. So throw them more toys. That's what they want. Like, it's a complete lack of respect.
Well, it's good because to sell toys, you usually write a cartoon, and that's about the level of this whole movie. It's just a cartoon.
The X-Men '92 show is a lot better than this. I'll say that for all its flaws, it's much better.
And we haven't even mentioned the fact that one of the most popular X-Men characters in this movie, and no one gives a shit. And Gambit is in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's forgettable, completely forgettable.
Completely forgettable, like his whole thing. I fly a plane. Like, really, that's all he does in this fucking movie is fly a plane.
Good
roll
for
some
him.
Cards around.
Yeah,
he tried to get in the fight between Wolverine and Creed, but
that's one of my
he's way
issues,
more
too.
powerful than most of the characters that they display here.
Well,
He
I
could
was gonna
take
say
out
number
most of
one,
them.
they made him way more powerful than they normally portray him in the
the whole telekinesis shit. Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, and very stupid too, because the first thing you do when you escape an island is go right back to where they found you first off, and no, don't change your name at all.
Right.
So, and that's the whole thing. The fight between Sabretooth and Wolverine, like before they start, Wolverine punches him and like knocks him out, and then a minute later he's on the top of a roof running.
Yeah,
and then using his staff as a propeller and jumping off the How did that happen? Like, where was the setup for that? Yeah, like just out of nowhere.
Keep trying to tell you, the movie sucks.
and then he's attacking Logan. Like he saw Sabretooth doing a lot of the stuff that he did, but no, he decides he's attacking Logan.
The guy that captured him and took him to the island is now beating up this dude, and he's helping him basically. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like the motivation there makes no sense whatsoever. It would have made more sense if he just ran away from that at that point.
The other thing that got me was the whole "don't kill him, it'll make us just like them" thing. It's like, first off, Logan doesn't really hold back, especially when the guy's fucked with his life this bad. Second off, it's like I think geek culture is kind of done with that. We're choosing the Paragon option every time because all of us now recognize the problem with Batman.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a good guy no matter how many people have to die because
Wolverine's the type of dude they send after children that need to be killed. Like, no, he ain't the one. Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing is they're trying to create a superhero movie, and superheroes don't do that because they don't. And again, I'm not even going to put this one on Gavin Hood or the writer people. I'm going to put this one firmly on the feet of Fox, right? Is they didn't want a killer, and Wolverine's a killer. That's the problem with him. Not a problem. That's the foible of the character, which is why Wolverine, I think,
he's the best he is at what he does. What he does is very nice.
That's very nice. That's the line. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to fit into the hero box of what Hollywood wants and keep a PG-13 rating. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If they
having Sabretooth in a PG-13 movie is because Sabretooth is he's a motherfucker. He likes to kill. He loves to kill.
A lot of off-screen deaths there.
Remorseless, but again, they can't commit to it. Like now, I think the game has changed. So I think you could do a Wolverine movie for real.
I know we talked about Robert Liefeld, but what did he say earlier on Twitter? That Deadpool 1 and 2 rated R movies, both combined, I want to say made over $1 million or billion. Sorry.
Yeah, they buck the trend for sure. So it can be done. They just don't want to do that because they think the audience for this is children. And for Wolverine, maybe they're right. Like I didn't really like when watching Superhero Squad with my kid, and like there's Wolverine, a guy with like protruding claws who could destroy everybody. I mean, like it doesn't work when you think about it like that, but you shouldn't think about it like that. You should serve the character. Make the movie.
If we were to go back to the 1960s and
invent Wolverine, you could be a billionaire.
And a man who worked at a little comic book company wanted to write stories with continuity and a little more adult themed, a little more mature themed, and was told over and over again, only kids read these things. They throw them away when they're done, and any adult that reads this has brain damage.
Yeah.
And he was going to quit the business. And his wife said, well, if you're going to quit, why don't you just write one comic the way that you want to write it? And as the story goes, that comic was Fantastic Four #1 and changed comics forever going forward at that point. So, like, exactly, like, no, the audience There's always been adults who read comics. It's not just kids, and that why Hollywood doesn't get that is beyond me.
Well, it's changed, right? Like the attitudes around Hollywood have changed over the last decade. Like I said,
Yeah.
Iron Man changes everything.
Yeah.
Like problem is that was the attitude for everybody, right? Like the nerds won the culture war, but we're still firmly in the culture wars in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Like the year before, you have The Dark Knight, which is the first movie to take this stuff really seriously.
Yeah.
Right. Like uber serious. And you had Iron Man, the first movie to take this seriously that was tongue in cheek in a way that wasn't insulting.
Right.
Right. So you have two vastly different movies tackling the same subject matter in vastly different ways that both proved to be remarkably effective at the box office. So this movie is already being made, and they're just jumping out of trends and don't really get it. Right. So I mean, like, it's weird to look back. If anything, it's interesting to look back on this movie, which sucked at the time, and everybody thought it sucked at the time. But the Hollywood doesn't get this. Like, these executives aren't trendsetters, right? They're trend chasers. There always have been. They always will be. Like, people are like, why does Hollywood make all just because that's what they think works? They don't have because Hollywood doesn't have original ideas. There's plenty of original ideas floating out there. They ain't gonna back them because they have no vision. To be an executive with vision makes you scary, and there's not a lot of them.
But even when they use somebody else's good idea, they still interfere so much and don't understand. Like, they don't even understand what makes a good story, because they're like, oh, this character makes money, so let's put this character in movie. But they don't have any concept of the movie has to be about the character.
Like, it's not they, because Kevin Feige is one of those guys, and he does.
Oh, but he's good. Yeah.
Well, he is good. He is good. And like, we see that in other places now, like you're seeing it at Disney. Like, there are people like that, but they're not. People don't rise into corporate structures and corporate hierarchies by being creative.
No,
right. You have to have being creative has to be something else that you're. It can't be what you are as an executive. It can be what you are as a filmmaker, but as an executive, it's got to be X's and O's.
Right. And then that's what, I mean, John, you just said it right. Like, oh, let's put this character in, blah, blah. And they put two of the most popular they introduced two of the most popular characters in X-Men history in this movie and basically ruined the one totally. Thank God he came back and saved it. And like, Gambit was a side character, but I mean, Deadpool, it was atrocious. It was just so atrocious.
Because they took a character whose nickname was Merc with a mouth.
Yep, that's all they knew.
And they took the fucking mouth away.
Is there like I would love to hear an interview or read an oral history thing of why these decisions were made. Like, why did you hire Ryan Reynolds to play this character? And one, completely do away with him. Two, change everything about him. Three, doing it almost in spite of it. Like, it almost feels like they did it in spite of it. Like, there's something so weird about all this stuff. It's like it's like the people making the movie hated the property, but at the same way love the property. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. This is why Ryan Reynolds had to freaking go behind people's backs just to get this dead movie greenlit. By the way, it's the all-time Hollywood baller move.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is too, like, you talked about Don and the elevator scene in the beginning, and he's cracking wise, but you know what? It still doesn't feel like the way he does it now in the Deadpool movies. It felt more mean-spirited in this movie.
Yeah, it's a very mean-spirited movie. I agree with that.
And like, my question was that his choice, or was that how it was written? So he just had to do what was written.
Well, it's the directing. It's not just writing. It's like, again, writers are hired to do a job, to follow what the director wants. So you do what the director wants.
In an interview, Ryan Reynolds explained that even he knew they were butchering the character while making the movie. And I quote, I said, "You guys, people are going to go nuts over this." And he was like, "I know, right?" And I was like, "No, not in a good way."
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds knew right off the bat that this was going to be.
Of course he knew. He's not stupid.
No,
Don,
he's not.
Do you know you're muted?
Gavin Hood is stupid.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah. We've lost the Don.
Nope,
there we go.
Yeah, no, I hit the button on here when I was making my point emphatically.
Please make it again.
Well, no, did you guys hit they took the Merc with the mouth and took his fucking mouth away?
Yes,
you heard that, right? Okay, that's the last interesting thing I said.
I saw you talking, and it's like, wait, I can't hear him. And then like, why give him all these weird powers too? Like, that
Again, it's just
Right.
if one power is cool, all of them must be super cool.
But why? Oh my God, I hate this. Why give him the optic blast, but then introduce Scott Summers? Oh, by the way, introduce a character that can turn into diamonds, but that's not Emma Frost.
Nope.
And then how fucking creepy did Patrick Stewart look de-aged? I mean,
Oh my God.
Well,
he looked like an alien. I don't know.
And he was walking.
They did not have the technology.
He was walking.
Yeah, he was walking. I mean, could you not just take like the Star Trek Next Generation footage and do something with it here? I mean, did you have to put on the
Well, I mean, the technology was still really bad. At that
plastic?
point.
Yeah, but all of the technology, like was it the movies with Wolverine in them before this had better claws than the ones in this.
And it wasn't James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they totally banked on Hugh Jackson,
Huge
Wolverine.
jacked man. Yeah.
Yeah, huge jacked man.
And his babs.
Wolverine, they're gonna come, and I just they almost did it right. That's my problem.
That's the biggest defense to this is like they were on the right path. They were so close to making a good movie, and instead they did everything wrong. It's like my grandpa was a baker, right? And he used to say that cooking is art, right? You can just make something. Baking is chemistry. And if one of the thing gets outbalanced with the other, the cookie tastes like shit. You made a cookie, but it's not a good cookie, right?
And that's kind of cookie.
It is a shit cookie. Like
it's an Amber Heard cookie.
It's a Christ. I like that.
Like jokes just write themselves these days,
That's
ladies and
good.
gentlemen. Anyone,
but that's the thing though, is like they had all the elements. They had this movie is well cast. The movie looks, if you were to look at this movie, you'd be like, oh, this is gonna be a good movie. But like shit cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean the thing is too, again, going back to the Deadpool thing, like it pissed off all the fans. And I have to think anyone who isn't a hardcore comic fan and maybe even didn't know who Deadpool was probably thinks that was stupid anyway. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like
what's Baraka from Mortal Kombat 2 doing in this movie?
That's what he looked. That's what he looks like. He looks way more like Baraka than he ever did Deadpool.
I know they tried to do the diamonds on the eyes. It's like, you motherfuckers, just stop.
Yeah, that was just egregious. Nothing in this movie made sense. Nothing at all. From one scene to another, there was no continuity. Everything was just, this would be cool here, and that was it. Like there was no thought process at all.
You know, it's worse than X-Men 3. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stick with this one. It's a worse movie than X3.
I'll give you that.
Poor Ryan Reynolds.
He faked.
Well,
he worked out. It worked out.
he got his revenge.
Yeah, he did it right too. Like he screwed over so many people to make this movie, and it worked. It's a gigantic gamble, right? That we didn't know for years was actually him. But if you thought about it, who else was it going to be? Like, yeah, it paid off. Good for him. Fortunately,
all right.
Him like Paul Ant-Man. I can't think of his last name at the moment.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd are aging fantastically.
Yeah.
And the last point I'm going to make about this movie is they gave us a contrived love story between him and Silver Fox.
Super contrived.
Again, different powers. What she was manipulating. Did he really love her? Blah, 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 whatever. And then they erase his memory and he finds her dead body and he's like, I don't know who she is. And it's like, and it just made it like, felt like it was for absolutely nothing when you got to that scene. And it was just like, ow.
You're
just like the movie.
You're supposed to feel heartbreak. Your heart's supposed to be broken. Instead, you're like it just,
who cares?
Yeah. You
right. Who cares? Because he doesn't care because he doesn't remember her.
Right.
It's not even like
we barely knew her. We didn't know her. That was the problem.
Like it's not even like he looked at her and said she looks familiar, or anything like that. It's just I don't know.
Again, I don't know who that bitch is. Shit.
That could have worked if you felt that if this was a more skillfully made movie. And again, making movies is hard. I get it. I've done it. It's a tough thing to do. But this is just like you had no excuse for making this a bad movie. There's none.
No, because the script was already there. He talks about the love interest. She's dead. He doesn't care. Like, that's Wolverine's MO. Like, his love interest die.
Yeah. Consistently.
Like, you should be able to do something with that. And, like, we don't give a fuck. We don't care.
There's nothing to care about. There's nothing to care about in this movie.
No.
That's the shame.
Other than Hugh Jackman's abs and Ryan Reynolds' abs.
Pretty much.
They're in great shape. I'm going to say that.
It was mostly just eye candy for women, really.
And Jackman's ass. We get that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He likes to show his ass off.
Like, how fucking stupid is this movie? Where like
Canada's ass.
Zero, that mutant Zero shoots the old man, and he's like, Logan just shot 2 innocent people. Like, he's got fucking claws in his hands. Who's he shooting? Like, oh my god, fuck this movie.
Fucking hard, man. It's bad.
All right.
What did it get in Rotten Tomatoes? It got it's 38 for reviews and 58% for audience score, which is actually higher than that what I thought it would.
Fuck you, trolls. That's what that is.
There's some people that are gonna love the movie no matter what.
Well, you got everything's got fans, right? There's people that don't get it, or some people connect with material for weird ways, right? And there's people I'm sure that like that. There's people like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
The movie made $378 million, which is a lot for 2009.
Yeah, but it made it all early. That's almost the vast majority of it's the first weekend, and it has an epic plummet afterwards.
Yeah. Not as much of the Morbius plummet, but yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be frank. I mean, the standards
things went slower back then.
Yeah, the standard's a lot higher now too.
Yeah.
And word of mouth goes everybody's got all their Twitter and TikTok set up now. So like as soon as the movie comes out, what it's like. Back then, a lot of that stuff was still kind of catching on. I mean, it was around, but
before I had to get out my flip phone.
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
Did you see this fucking movie? See what they did with Deadpool?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Now
you go on somebody's MySpace to see what they thought of it. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
It's not that old.
Hey, I know I'm not in your top friends, but hey, did you see this Wolverine movie? MySpace references. Superhero speak.
Hey, I could have gotten CompuShare, but that's
well, let's not even talk about Prodigy.
Now here's okay. All right, let's wrap this up with a Mint Mobile marathon question.
All right,
is this movie better or worse than Blade Trinity? And do you feel that it's going to be better or worse than Green Lantern? John?
It's worse than Green Lantern. It is, I don't know. I think this is worse than Trinity. Yeah, I think this is worse than Blade Trinity. Because at least Blade Trinity kind of had a storyline that kind of meandered along, but everything kind of made sense, even though it was kind of stupid. This, just like every single scene, every line was just, we're going to put this here because it looks cool. There was no care for if it was out of order or whether it made any sense or anything. Like, I'm not even talking comic book logic. I'm just talking about, like sentient being logic. So, yeah, I think it's worse than both.
Don?
I definitely think that it is worse. I don't know. Green Lantern, my biggest problem with Green Lantern was the villain. It's worse than Blade Trinity because Blade Trinity sucks. In fact, I already forgot the director's name that JD kept saying.
David Goyer.
But Blade Trinity doesn't betray the essence of a character like this movie does. And Green Lantern doesn't really betray the Hal Jordan character, at least not as much as Deadpool was, what the character was portrayed in this movie. So I'm going to say, yeah, this is worse than both.
Okay. JD?
Yeah, it's way worse than both. Those movies had the right elements. The execution was bad, right?
Right.
Blade Trinity was a bad idea. And you could just smell train wreck on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It just felt wrong from jump.
They had to make a 3 though.
Yeah. But like this, on the other hand, should have been good. Like there's no way Blade Trinity. It felt like an aughts piece of crap from jump. This is different. This is everything about this movie should have worked. They had the right cast, they had funding, they had everything going their way. Everyone wanted this to be a good movie. Green Lantern has some redeeming points, which when we talk about that, I'll get into. It's a horribly mismanaged movie because of Jeff Johns, and we'll talk about that later. But that's miscast. Like Ryan Reynolds never should have played Hal Jordan. Like, so those movies are they're flawed from jump. This wasn't flawed from jump. This should have been better, which makes its fall far greater, right? Okay. This should be a good movie, and it isn't. Those are sketchy. Like those, you could tell something was off. This, you saw the trailer and you're like, oh, okay, this could be good.
True.
I gotcha.
And you find out the whole thing's trailer.
Which was a thing in the aughts. Like a lot of movies were all trailer. Like the whole trailer is in the movie, and like you don't really need to watch the movie because watching the movie is actually going to hurt the experience of the trailer. This is one of those.
Well, yeah, that's about right.
So this movie is how you feel after watching this movie is how you feel after Amber Heard has visited your bed. All right.
Oh my God.
Cut your finger off or punched you.
On that note, let's go around and see if we either have. Again, I'm going to give you an option like I did last week. Do you have a recommendation, or what did you learn on the podcast? And Don, you can go first.
Recommendations. I really do recommend the Moon Knight series. Is it on the level of WandaVision? Is it on the level of Loki? No, but I think it's actually pretty well written. I think it's well acted, and I think it's interesting. It just doesn't seem to have any bearing on the greater MCU. So what did I learn? Boy, I learned that we're probably going to be making Amber Heard poop jokes for quite some time. I just don't see that going away in the next 2 weeks. So I'm here for that. I mean, wait a minute. Let's just think about it. Just think about it. We've all been married at one point or another. I think John and I both been through divorces. And even given that, what the hell would motivate you to shit on somebody's bed, particularly a bed you sleep in?
Normally, you only see that in rebounds, not ex-wives,
Right.
but
Well, you being the rebound king, John, you can go next.
No, not rebound. Just terrible.
Knife the ball.
Yeah, I'm going to do recommendation anime again. Sorry, there's a new anime called Spy X Family. It is very well written. It is incredibly entertaining, and it's about a family of spies. The father is a master spy, the mother's a master assassin, and the little girl is a forgotten experiment with psychic powers. So it is very cool. It is very cool, and you should check it out. Yeah. And just to be clear, like I was rooting for Amber Heard until I heard that she was also like at least 50% of the problem. I'm all for the women's movement. It is time for us to stop letting men just shit all over them. But when they shit on us, that's probably a bad. Yeah, we're never gonna get rid of those jokes, are we? It's a terrible thing. I feel sad for both of them, and not because they're terrible people, because their friends should have gotten them help long ago, both of them. So that's it for me.
JD.
I watched, my kid is he's into YouTube, but when he watches YouTube stuff, I'm actually kind of proud of him. He finds his way into like these like YouTube documentaries, right? A lot of them are more kids based, but he's learning stuff, and he's super into cryptids. And he is really into the Kraken, right? So we went to the library to look for a book about the Kraken. So we found like this graphic novel, like this short graphic novel adaptation of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I'm going to read that to him tomorrow night. And then he's also, I said, well, if you like the Kraken, we should watch Clash of the Titans.
There we go. I was about to ask.
The original, right?
Yes, come on.
Release the Kraken.
Yes.
So we watched Clash
and the
of
Owl.
We watched Clash of the Titans today. Both are available on HBO Max if you have a subscription. Nice. And God, I love Clash of the Titans. I love that movie. I've loved it since childhood. And we talked earlier about movies being edited for television. I always watched it on TBS. So I didn't know there was boobs. So my son got to see his first movie boob today. And he laughed. He acted like, like any.
Are you shitting me, man? I don't remember any boobs.
Me neither.
Clash of Titan.
Me neither. Young Perseus is getting breastfed in one of the first scenes of the movie. And then when they're about to bring Andromeda to her death, they bathe her.
Are you Amber Hearding me?
No, that's good. No. There was boo. He goes, Dad, she's naked. And I'm like, she is, bud. She is.
Listen.
It's a great movie. It's
okay.
He's like, why does the Kraken look different here? And I said, well, Ray Harryhausen had an imagination, and he just kind of did his thing. The real question is, why is the Kraken in this movie when it's a Norse Greek myth and not a Greek myth? But the movie's a lot of fun.
You tell him the Kraken's name is Phil.
Phil Kraken.
You can also show him
Phil Irish. Phil McCracken. I got it. I learned that John tells bad jokes. No, what did I learn from this show? I learned that that's good. Oh, that's true. Yes, no one's on that level.
No.
I learned that we have taken this gimmick and run it into the ground with reviewing all these bad movies, and it's miserable.
Time to do something good, right?
I want to watch a good movie.
We will shortly.
Damn it.
We need to figure out when we're going to do the movie with the guys from Cutting the Sacred Cow.
Yes, I want to do that because that's for us to discuss later. That is a good movie. We need to watch good movies. Life is too short to watch movies that are bad.
You're starting to glitch there. We really need to get you a good movie stat.
Yes, I'm glitching.
So what did I learn? I learned that too much cheesecake can be bad, but too much bacon, there's no such thing as too much bacon.
Talk to your cardiologist. He may disagree with that.
I also learned there is no end to the humor of Amber Heard shitting in your bed. At least not foreseeable end to that.
I mean, just picture it. Just in your head.
If you're into that sort of thing, some people are.
Right. Hey, 2 girls, 1 cup crowd. This is your time. Just picture an attractive lady shitting on a bed. Oh my God.
So I got a Kickstarter. I got a Kickstarter running right now. We could use some extra love. If you hit it up, the Wolfstone Kickstarter series, that'd be cool. No one poops in there.
I was going to recommend that people check out your Kickstarter, but there you go.
I appreciate. I needed to get the image of Amber Heard pooping out of my head.
I also recommend that you head on over to superheroespeak.com where you can find the podcast every week. The links to all our social media at the top of the page, and of course, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square, which I have 2 in my queue that I have not published yet. I've been busy. But they will be up this week. So, all right. On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.